It is Sunday, the 16th of June, 2019. I'm in front of the Lakeshore Unitarian Universalist congregation. I'm protesting against a variety of issues, but today's theme is Unitarian Universalist perversion of justice for various reasons, including the fact that on Thursday, just a few days ago, I was acquitted of bullshit criminal harassment charges that Montreal Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse cover-up enabler Sue Montgomery brought against me in an effort to, amongst other things, shut down my peaceful public protest against clergy abuse outside the Unitarian Church of Montreal. That was not her only motivation. It might have been even a secondary motivation. Her main motivation is that she wanted to keep me out of city council meetings to prevent me from asking her or other Montreal politicians questions about her complicity in, and even her knowing and willful participation in, Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse cover-up efforts, including her own personal participation in abusive misuse of the SPVM police force and the Canadian criminal justice system to shut down my protest in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. So, anyhow, there was a little break in the proceedings. I was doing a little monologue for a while there. It looked like nobody was going to show up. I got here a little after 9, and I thought I'd see people, within 20 minutes or so, starting to show up for the church service. But no, I actually thought they might have had a church picnic or so, because hardly anyone showed up until maybe 20 minutes ago. So when people showed up, I took the camera off the tripod, I put it around my neck, and I circulated. I did my little protest thing, but they're all inside the church, or most of them anyway. There's a row of cars here. Had a few interesting chats, but I wanted to say a few things so you can see me, see the picket signs, because there's a few things I missed and didn't speak about. And I also noticed that the camera cut out again, so I don't know how much of my protest was recorded. I don't know what happened. I think the battery died. And so it didn't record certain things, and unfortunately I can't repeat what happened during the actual protest. But essentially, I had some interesting conversations with some of the people coming to the church. I will say one thing. At one point I talked somewhat loudly because people were 20 odd feet away, and I wanted them to hear what I had to say, so I raised my voice on it. I wasn't like yelling and screaming, I was just talking loud so people who were a good distance away from me could hear me. And I might have even been, now that I think about it, hopefully it's recorded, hopefully I actually have a record of this. So I think I was also talking about how it's perfectly acceptable for people to yell and even use megaphones during protests, because I think somebody even previously had made some silly comment. So as I'm talking somewhat loudly, one of the people entering the church, who's presumably a Montreal Unitarian Universalist, said literally, "It's not peaceful when you're yelling." In other words, it's not peaceful public protest when you're yelling. Well, excuse me. Excuse me. But as I was mentioning in the video, and this part definitely did not get recorded, I have seen SPVM police officers, hundreds of them, possibly even some thousands of them, but definitely hundreds of SPVM police officers outside SPVM headquarters in Montreal, making a lot of noise while they were on strike or on pressure tactics in terms of their pension fund and wages and so on and so forth. This is we have a police union, they're unionized. They sometimes go on strike. They were on strike some years ago, and during some of their strike, they made a lot of noise, using megaphones. And let's talk about firemen. Let's talk about Montreal firemen. I was at Montreal. I'm talking to the camera. No, I'm not talking to myself. I'm talking to the public. I'm talking to the public. This is going on YouTube. So here's the interesting thing. So this is another thing Unitarians say, I'm talking to myself. Well, no, I'm talking to the camera. It's going on YouTube. and hundreds, even thousands of people, even millions potentially, could see this video and learn a thing or two about Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy, which include, amongst other things, saying it's not peaceful public protest when you're yelling, which is insane. And one of the first things I said to this woman is that Unitarian Universalists yell during protests. You know, they make plenty of noise during protest, and it's known as peaceful public protest. But the point is too is that literally SPVM police officers and Montreal firefighters and so on, they make a lot of noise during protests. They have noise makers, they have megaphones, they have PA systems. And getting back to the firefighters, which I was talking about till this little interruption here, I was at Montreal City Hall some years ago. I can't remember the exact date, but it was during a period when Montreal firefighters, as well as the police, were doing pressure tactics. It was part of the, you know, negotiations with the union and this and that. The city was trying to claw back their pension funds and reduce their pension funds and this and that. So I'm going to go to a city council meeting to ask a question, but I couldn't basically go in because Montreal firefighters had pretty well invaded the council chambers, and they were making a lot of noise in there. And amongst the noise that they made is they actually brought a fire engine siren into the council chambers, and at a certain point they let it go, and I can tell you that was loud, like ear-splitting loud. And guess what? It's considered to be peaceful public protest. Maybe not the invasion of the city council chambers. That might have been a bit of a no-no, but it's just basically just a kind of a sit-in. You know, it's okay, you got another police car coming by. Just talking about you guys. Just talking about you guys. Make some noise. Make some noise. Oh, they're turning around. I might have a little chat with them. Okay, yeah, it looks like we're going to have a little chat. So I think I'm going to, maybe not. They might just drive by. Fais du bruit, fais du bruit. Make some noise. I'm just talking about you guys because they're complaining that I was talking a bit loud. And so I said, hey, guess what? SPVM police officers make a hell of a lot of noise when they're on strike and making pressure tactics. I said, I've seen them with megaphones. So if you want to have a chat, we can have a chat, but I guess we're going to have a chat. Okay. You want to come and stand in front of the camera?
No, I'm not going to stand in front of the camera.
Okay.
Just curious.
Right.
What is it for?
I'm protesting against Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse, cover-up and denial, and more particularly, I'm protesting against the fact that the mayor of Côte-des-Neiges Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, Sue Montgomery, who is a member of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, falsely accused me of criminal harassment in an effort to shut down my protest in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal.
Is this the incident, like on video or something like that? He charged you, I think you went to City Hall, is that possible?
I think what you're thinking of,
Yeah.
well, there's a whole bunch of different things, but
yeah.
I think what you might be thinking of, the reason I was acquitted was because I was protesting in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal on March 18th of 2018 after being...
I think in NDG, is that?
Yes, exactly. Okay. It's near the Vendo Metro.
No, I've seen, I believe, a YouTube video.
Have you seen her
yourself
kicking my picket signs and that?
I don't remember that part.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. You know, criminal harassment, we got, 3 cars. I think I might have to film this. Anyway, for now, well, at a certain point I might have to film it if this goes further. Wow, 3 cars. Anyway, here's the thing. So getting back to the video, criminal harassment, as you may or may not know, requires that the person making the complaint has reasonable grounds to fear for their safety. There's a few other things, but they have to actually have actual fear, and they have to have reasonable grounds for it. So I'm protesting in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, March 18th, 2018, some months after I'd been arrested.
Yeah.
I had my conditions reduced to allow me to continue my protest. When Sue Montgomery, the complainant, the person accusing me of criminal harassment, claiming to fear for her safety, walked straight up to me, saw me like a block and a half away, straight up to me, stops in front of me about this distance, like 8 to 10 feet, pulls out her cell phone, takes a picture, calls the police to try to get me arrested for breach of conditions. That's not good enough. She then goes...
Did you have conditions not to be in contact with her, kind of thing?
No. I had conditions not to communicate.
Okay.
Directly in, but, and there had been conditions not to be at the church.
Yeah.
But those had been reduced. My lawyer was able to get that eliminated completely. It wasn't even mentioned. And she may or may not have known that. So what she does is, like, I sometimes have picket signs like leaning up against lamp posts and stuff. So she kicks them into the street. Then she walks right by me, like within a foot or two, right by, not the slightest fear, kicks my other picket signs in the street, obviously trying to provoke me into communicating. You know, I think she wanted me to say something, hey, like, stop doing that, so then she could hit me with, oh, you communicated with me, you know, breach of conditions, you know. I just kept my mouth shut. I narrated to the camera, but I didn't talk to her, you know. So anyway, this was shown in court during the trial, and when the judge saw that, it was like, I saw it on her face, like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is going on? And that killed it. Like, when she saw that, in her judgment, where she quitted me, she said the video proves that Sue Montgomery did not even fear for her safety. Like, she literally had no fear. So, you know, it didn't even get into whether she had reasonable grounds for it. So that killed the whole thing.
Okay.
So I think what I'm doing is perfectly legal. And
the only thing is, you can't impede.
I don't.
Like traffic and stuff like that.
They sometimes claim that. They make all kinds of bullshit claims, like Sue Montgomery's thing. You know, they want to shut this down. I guess you got a complaint, obviously, from somebody, because you wouldn't be if you didn't get a complaint. But no, I'm not. In fact, for most of the time, I was actually doing this, because hardly anyone was here. A few people showed up. At one point, I did yell a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
the bylaw too. Yelling.
Well, hang on. As I said to you, as you guys pulled up,
Yeah.
SPVM police officers, when they're on strike or pressure tactics or so on, they are outside SPVM headquarters or Montreal City Hall or walking through the old port, as you may know, for the inauguration of the lights on the bridge. And they're making a lot of noise. They're using megaphones. So I would suggest that even if there is bylaw against yelling, blah, 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 that within the context of a peaceful public protest, that should be a charter rights and freedoms guaranteed right. And the only reason I did it, the only reason I raised my voice somewhat, was because they said I couldn't. They said you shouldn't. So I said,
well,
no,
there
excuse
you go.
me. I like to educate people about charter rights and freedoms and freedom of speech and so on. So I just raised my voice somewhat. And at one point, I did actually yell somewhat loudly, just to make a point. It was like maybe.
And are you doing this right now because they're going to have service or something, or?
Yeah, it's a Sunday service. I want them to see the protest. You know, they're part of the problem too. It's like I'm not protesting just local stuff at the Unitarian Church of Montreal, but the bigger Unitarian Universalist religious community.
I'll just ask that you don't impede the traffic.
I don't.
You don't yell.
Okay.
Don't harass them. Okay. Like if they come, don't. Like.
Well, what's harassment? Talking to them, I don't think, you know, like within a protest, within the context of protest.
If they don't want to talk to you, don't like go in their way.
I don't
out
go
of
in
your way
people's way.
to like bring up something, because then we're gonna get calls and stuff like that.
Right.
So.
Well, there is this thing called the Canadian Charter Rights and Freedoms that should cover that stuff.
But
anyway, I hear you.
Don't solicitate them. Don't impede them.
Normally, I'm very peaceful. I'm basically just narrating to the camera and this and that. Is it still running, by the way?
Yeah, 13 minutes.
Great. So we got this
41.
covered. Thank you. Anyway, I enjoyed our conversation. So far, you've been polite, professional, and that will be noted. No, seriously. When I was arrested for criminal harassment, I was actually at the City Council meeting on December 11th.
Yeah.
Feel free to do some research. So I'm at the City Council meeting to ask a question about Sue Montgomery's complicity in collusion abuse cover-up, etc. to Valerie Plante, where she got me arrested. She filed a complaint previously. As you know, it's the Groupe Intervention police officers who do the security there.
Yeah.
They were the ones who arrested me. They were super nice about it. Polite, professional, almost friendly. They had to cuff me for security reasons, but they were super nice about it.
Yeah.
So when I was able to go back and ask questions, I actually complimented them for their polite, professional police work.
I thought I read something about along the lines your presence at the meeting. They charged you with like breach of condition.
Yes, because I asked a question about Sue Montgomery to Valerie Plante.
Yeah,
Specifically about that incident. It was the March the city council
Okay.
meeting. So it was like maybe a week and a half after that incident I told you
Yeah.
about. So I you know, Valley Fawn, what do you think of this?
Yeah. No, I think I read it like
Yeah.
maybe Gazette or something like that.
Yeah.
Or
Don't believe
something.
everything you read in the Gazette though, because Sue Montgomery is the former Gazette Justice reporter, so a lot of it's biased against me, especially the Paul Cherry stuff. The most recent article is pretty good. It's another, so I'll be dealing with the Gazette later.
Okay.
Anyway, I
Okay,
enjoyed our
keep in
chat
mind,
today.
keep in mind what I said.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear
Okay.
you. I'm almost done anyway.
Yeah.
So good to see you guys, and thanks again for your polite, professional police work. It will be on YouTube at least, or you won't be in the video, but the audio will be.
Okay.
So thanks again. Have a great day. So that was some polite, professional police work by SPVM police officers from Lachine. Bye-bye. Lachine Saint Pierre. So let's get some video of this. So there they go. 1, 2, and there was another one. So they're essentially in my good books. They did great work today. When they do great work, I say so. Now, I do obviously contest the whole business of the bylaw against yelling. I mean, maybe there is a bylaw against, well, I mean, there are noise bylaws. Hey, see, here we got another subject to talk about. So there are bylaws that prohibit, you know, making a lot of noise. And yeah, that's a reasonable bylaw in terms of like a noisy neighbor and this and that. But within the context of a peaceful public protest, then making a certain amount of noise, even a lot of noise, should take precedence. The charter right to freedom of expression and to engage in peaceful public protest should take precedence over noise bylaws. And like I said to these guys, and as this video shows, I was literally talking about SPVM cops making a lot of noise during their own protests. You know, hey, you know, if the cops can make a whole lot of noise during their protest, then why can't I like raise my voice a little bit or even yell, you know, or even have a megaphone? Why can't I have a megaphone? You know, I think I can have a megaphone, but that, as I said, normally I don't talk, you know, even now I'm talking somewhat loud, but it's